And are excited to introduce an AI governance blueprint for the year ahead from Compass Education and Nexus Consulting. And so we were a couple of things before we sort of launch into each of the domains within this blueprint. So we were pretty intentional about the word blueprint versus, a roadmap or something like that. Roadmap sort of indicates a destination of some kind. And we see AI governance as something that requires constant and continual attention and iteration. So we're definitely purposeful about that. The other thing is we're going to go through and Claire, if we want to go to the next slide, we're going to go through each of the domains within this. Thank you. This blueprint. It is meant to be sort of a cycle. You don't have to start in one place or another, but it is meant to continually kind of feed into each other. And would like you to kind of look through two lenses. One is to look through the lens of how AI systems behave and what are things that you need to implement from a governance perspective that help you mitigate or adhere to responsibility from the perspective of how AI systems behave. And then what is human behavior? So what are the protocols and structures that need to be in place to support AI governance from the perspective of how the humans behave. So as we go through each of these domains, just be kind of thinking about those two lenses because they're both really important. All right, Claire, you want to get us started with that first domain?
Absolutely. As you know, I'm a law and policy nerd. I love this bit. I think many others don't enjoy it quite as much as I do. But to me, this is really the starting point. This is where the heavy thinking and strategy lifting really begins. All schools have certain policies that they have to adhere to. They have a set of law. Regulations that apply specifically to them. In the US, there is federal law that has to be balanced with AI use. And more states are also implementing different types of regulation that also guides the use of AI. This could be anything from privacy regulation, deepfake regulation, to actual AI-specific regulation that guides the use. So this is really the starting point at the blueprint drawing board for all organizations. What is the impact of AI assessments in your organization? Are you using AI in a way where you are grading, where you might be monitoring behavioral patterns and running risk analysis off of that? Are you guarding sensitive data in a way that's still appropriate given all of these new technologies? And are you making automated decisions in your school or your district? For example, that could be in hiring processes of new staff. Is an AI doing the initial filtering? And is it fair and accurate? What's the impact on the community based on that type of use? Other things that need to be addressed after the policies and law and everything has been worked out is exactly how does that work with vendor agreements? Are your vendor agreements still valid? Are you properly protected? And do they address all of these regulations that you have to adhere to as a school? Or is your vendor no longer serving the purpose that they did in times past, back in the old days before 2023? And then finally, what are your ethical principles for your organization? We've seen a lot of conversation in AI literacy about academic integrity, but what are the ethical principles you uphold as an organization? What's your curriculum? What's your mission? What are your values? And do all of those align with how you're using AI? And all of that sort of fits within the risk and compliance management bubble.
Okay, great. So for folks for whom that might be a little intimidating, what's like the smallest step? What could folks do tomorrow to get started with that domain?
So I think absolutely the first thing to do is really figuring out what kind of AI is being used inside of your organization. That could be by designing a survey, an anonymous survey, to find out how staff members and students are using AI tools. And that's because we know that a lot of what we call shadow AI is being used in organizations. People are using AI, but they're not sharing how and why and when they're using it. It becomes really, really important to have good risk management and have good compliance to understand how it's being used so that you can start guiding everybody to using it in the manner that is the best possible use case for your organization. So start with doing a survey, an audit of what AI tools are being used, and work with the IT department on this to understand what they are seeing on their end as well.
Okay, great. So we'll let everyone get started with that. When you're ready, head to the next video on incident response.